You are watching Mind Extension University, the education network.
On Saturday, we saw a film that was enormous fun. Great fun. Did you like that? Lost in Yonkers? It again dealt with a Jewish family. What we saw in Lost in Yonkers was our own culture. For people who are Jewish, particularly who grew up in New York and who had a grandmother who lived somewhere up north. My grandmother lived in the Bronx. My understanding was that that was where all grandmothers lived, up in the Bronx. I didn't understand that there was any place other than the Grand Concourse or Tremont Avenue where you could live until people from the Bronx, right? Until I saw Neil's play, and I understood that there were other places you could live, and also there were other kind of grandmas. Because I had a very sweet grandma, and it was, I think for Neil, I think it was a truly important breakthrough play, a kind of play that he had wanted to write for a long time, and it got him a Pulitzer Prize, which he deserved, and it captured for the audiences, I think, that extraordinary tightrope feeling of being funny. There are moments in this work that are hysterically funny, and at the same time, never losing that sense of poignance, that the issues that these two boys were dealing with were, in their lives at least, life and death issues. You saw beautiful performances, and I wondered with curiosity and but also with a real kind of interest. How do you translate that to the screen? We've seen that many times over the years, over the sort of decades. How do you effectively take that play that worked so well as a theatrical piece and make me believe it as a film without its being people coming to center stage and doing speeches? Remember what the term is when you take a play and you convert it into a film? What's the term for that? Opening it up. Very good, Elsie. Opening it up. How do you open it up without it's looking like opening it up? One of the people who I interviewed yesterday was Jason Robards Jr., and it was a classical case of one of the early transfers. He did a play called 1,000 Clowns in New York, directed by Fred Coe and written by Herbie Gardner, and then they made it into a film, and they didn't know how to open it up. And if you go to see 1,000 Clowns, it's worth seeing as a film student. For you to look at it, what you see is a series of scenes staged precisely as they had been staged at the Belasco Theater, except that every 12 minutes, Sandy Duncan and Jason Robards would get on a bike and go through Central Park. And you'd have a montage. You had the Greenwich Village montage, you had the Central Park montage, you have the Cloisters montage, and that's the way they opened it up. It was a good film, but it was not opened up in the way you need to do it. Here in this film, what you saw Martha Coolidge do was you felt that this was a movie, not a play converted into a movie. You felt it. There were things that she could do in telling you about that grandmother. Do you remember when you first see the grandmother? Close-up of the doorknob over there. Close-up of the feet. Look at what the director's telling you. Close-up of the cane. So she's using the cane really as a kind of visual metaphor to tell you more than you want to know, or everything you need to know about that grandmother. It is one of the most effective and beautiful translations of stage to screen I've ever seen in my life. It was so full and so compelling, and I felt very good about that. The last Martha Coolidge film that we ran in this class was Rambling Rose, but we didn't, a triumph in every sense, but we did not have a chance to interview her. So it is a very great privilege to tell you that your second guest for this evening is the director of Lost in Yonkers, Miss Martha Coolidge. Martha? And now, Miss Martha Coolidge.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. You look great. What a good movie.
Oh, thank you.
We talked earlier tonight to Sophia, to Liv Ullman, who did a movie called Sophia, and Sophia was about a Jewish family. But Liv is not Jewish.
Nor am I.
You're not Jewish. In fact, you are probably the ultimate Gentile.
Oh, God.
Your cousin was Calvin, or cousin several times removed was Calvin Coolidge. Mm-hmm. You have one of those families that goes back forever like that. Did you feel at all a little scared going in to do this sort of epitome of a Jewish story?
I have to say that, first of all, I'm in a very Jewish business, let's just say there.
Yeah.
I've been surrounded with Jewish people my whole life, so it's not a particularly foreign experience to me at all.
Right, right.
But I don't think that even that would stop a director from doing work. It's like when I first went to Hollywood many, many years ago, and some producer wanted me to do a karate picture. I wasn't being offered any pictures, so a karate picture sounded fine to me. And he said, but what can I tell them? What can I tell them to prove to them that you can direct this picture? And I said, you can tell them that I don't have to do the karate. I just have to put the camera somewhere. I mean, and it's really, I think that a director's job is to understand the soul of a piece and to have some kind of personal identification with the story. And I feel that it should be a great deal of personal identification with the story. But it isn't... you don't have to be those characters.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can be a good observer.
Yeah.
And I certainly learned in my documentary filmmaking that observing life teaches you a great deal about how to portray life.
Yeah.
In other words, I understood from documentaries that the people's homes tell you as much about them as they do.
Yeah.
And that the camera photographs the truth in a person's face.
You're growing up so fast it almost makes me cry. Where's your father? I haven't seen your father in so long.
He's upstairs talking to Grandma.
Oh, yeah? Oh, sorry. I better not disturb them then. Did she ask for me?
I don't know.
Did she tell I was here?
No, you just got here.
Did she tell her where I went?
We didn't know where you went.
I went to the movies. Don't tell Grandma. I saw this picture with Betty Davis and George Brent. You know the one?
No.
Yeah, it was Betty Davis and George Brent. Oh, and they had air conditioning. I was actually cold. I felt so happy for those actors to be in an air-conditioned theater.
I don't think the actors feel it. They're just pictures on the screen.
Oh, no. I know that's silly. I mean, they would be happy to know that the people who were watching the movie were nice and cool, so that we enjoyed the movie better.
Oh, right. Sure.
Hey, Susan, how's it going?
To tell you the truth, Lisa, terrible. Our department got the new computers, and I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing. Either I'm going to break the thing, or I'm never going to be able to figure it out. Do you know what I could do?
I know just how you feel. I went through the same sort of thing when I first got started, and I found this great videotape. I think it would help.
A videotape, huh?
Yeah, let me go get it.
Thanks, I'll give it a try.
If you're struggling with computers, there's a program that can help you instantly. Everything you ever wanted to know about PCs. A 1-hour videotape that's fun, practical, and easy to use. Step-by-step instructions can get anyone started on a computer. Learn how to hook up your equipment, start using DOS, and even get an introduction to Windows.
You know, Lisa, I watched the videotape, and you were absolutely right. It's terrific. I feel very confident now. I'll be able to handle a computer, no problem.
That's great.
Don't put off using your computer any longer. Everything you ever wanted to know about PCs is perfect for anyone who's getting started with computers. Order yours today for only $29.95. To order, call 1-800-777-MIND. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and the Discover card.
If you want a good job, you need a good education. So, stay in school.
Do you remember when someone first came to you and said, Martha Coolidge, we'd like you to do this project?
I was shocked.
How long ago was this?
I was offered the film, I would say, probably 1 week before Christmas, a year and a half ago. And it came in a bundle, a package from my agents, and they said, you're on a list with 2 other directors, and see if you're interested. It's the new Neil Simon script. Now, I had seen Lost in Yonkers as a tourist in New York. I saw it with Gene Kazmarek and Mercedes McCambridge when I happened to be coming through town. I always see plays. So I had seen the play. That was good. I was glad. I got the script, and I said, Neil Simon, wow. It was quite a surprise. I sort of think of myself as a different generation, and you kind of think of Neil Simon and Ray Stark as working with a certain group of people, which they have very repetitively. And so I read the script overnight. I was very diligent, and answered the next day and said, I'd be interested. I mean, I felt like I'd be a fool not to be interested. I read the first page, and the father is in a hysterical mood, sitting in the car, slapping the kids. And
is this a screenplay they sent you, or the Broadway's?
First draft.
All right, so they had already done an adaptation from the stage version to a screenplay, so you saw pretty much the shape of what the
right,
project
and you talked about opening it up. It was Neil had faced a lot of the angst of opening it up. He'd created the character of Johnny. He created Hollywood Harry. He really did a really good job. It closely resembles the movie today with some significant changes. But I think what really sold me is I saw in the first page how he'd taken this very difficult start in the play, which was very lengthy, much too long for a movie, with this father hysterical in the room and the boys sitting around hot in the room, and put it into a car and made it 4 lines. And yet you still get the whole story. Yeah. When I went in for my meeting, all right, so they said, are you interested? And I said, I'm interested. And they said, okay, you'll have to wait till the other directors read the script, which will be a few weeks. 2 days later, I get an offer. So now I'm really surprised, and it's about 2 days before Christmas. I'm supposed to leave on Christmas vacation, and then they said the offer is predicated on meeting creatively with Neil after you read the second draft, which he's doing. So I said, okay. So I went away for 10 days, got the second draft.
The meeting is, the offer is predicated.
In other words,
what that means
it's
is
an offer.
It's their option, not yours. You meet with Neil, and he can say, I love this lady, or I like this lady, but one way or the other, let's do it. Or he can say, thank you, not interested. It's not your option so much, although you could also
I could also
down.
say I can't stand the guy, get me away from here.
Right, but they're concerned about protecting their option, which is, okay.
A mutual, in other words, there's a meeting, and you could look at it as their option, which it is, but it's also mine as well.
Yeah.
So there's no deal until this meeting takes place, and everybody agrees we like, but not to meet Ray Stark. I didn't meet Ray Stark till after I was doing the picture. So Ray
Stark is the producer.
He's the producer.
Okay.
And a legendary producer.
Right.
So I go to the meeting with Neil, and at this point they're saying, go on, give him your notes. So I don't usually walk in and give a writer notes right off the bat. I feel if they've created something, I owe it to them to learn everything I can about where it came from, what they wanted, how everything about what they want out of it before I start meddling with their vision. So I went in and I started asking Neil a lot of questions, and we hit it off really well, right away.
What I like about math is that it's challenging and it's helpful. It's going to help me for the rest of my life. And you can apply it to everyday life.
Welcome to the Mind Extension University Bookstore Catalog Showcase. Today we're going to discuss how video programs can help solve math problems literally with video-aided instruction. Nice to have you with me. I'm Stephanie Stevens along with Kim Long. Have we found research-wise that videos are maybe a little more acceptable to kids, well, I guess to all people, than a classroom situation?
Well, I don't know if there's an actual survey, but it's become a reality in society. It's like one of those popular myths that we all believe that adults can't operate VCRs, but you have to have a kid around and they'll immediately figure out how to program it for you.
What do you think makes video-aided instruction sort of a special and unique way to learn?
It's convenience, control. it's a factor that you decide when to start it, when to stop it. You don't get something, you play it over again.
There's not always, I mean, older brothers or whatever aren't always there to help you. And as I said before, it's often hard to learn yourself. So I think anything that would supplement a teacher that you can use anytime would be a great help.
I'm Harold Shane, professor of mathematics at Baruch College of the City University of New York. Welcome to Video-Aided Instruction's review course in trigonometry. This two-tape set is generic in content and can be used along with any textbook.
The fractions, trigonometry, and Calculus 1 programs each include 2 video cassettes with 4 full hours of instruction and a study guide. Each program costs only $79.95. To order, call toll-free 1-800-777-MIND.
Mind Extension University is designed to deliver quality education to everybody.
This is the only way that I could possibly get my degree and still keep my job at NBC Sports because of my crazy schedule.
I certainly would have to say that the advantage that I gain the most is the flexibility of the program.
Mind Extension University fit in precisely with my lifestyle. I was able to pursue a very active professional career.
I want to go into international business, and without distance education, I would have never had the opportunity to take these classes.
The world is at our fingertips. Through Mind Extension University, it's being delivered to our house now. I mean, we don't have to go out and get it. All we have to do is turn television on.
Well, I think that by meeting each other, it really opens the idea that we're not an isolated classroom. We are a classroom of the nation.
And your presence here really establishes the very real nature of what we're doing. It is a reality.
So this looked like it was a go. Now, had anything been cast? Was anybody attached to this project?
The other thing that was stated was that Mercedes had the part of Bella, which I thought was great.
So that didn't
Even though I
bother you?
hadn't seen her in the play.
Okay. And that ordinarily a director starts to get a little bit skittish at that point because...
In this case, I think it could be skittish if she didn't have the part because you could start to worry about who might get the part.
Yeah.
Knowing Hollywood, it could be...
Right. And looking at it candidly here, you don't come in, you know, I'm going to put this delicately, you don't come in with the clout of some of these superstar directors who can just call the shots. You have to come in, and if they have someone who's very bankable and they want to attach to the project, they're going to be in a good position to try to pressure you to do that. Here you at least know that you've got a first-rate actress there. She was attached to the project. How's about Irene Worth?
She was not attached. She was on a list and under consideration, as was Kevin Spacey. But the fact is that, you know, when it came to casting the 3 main parts, which is, you know, the grandmother, Bella, well, Bella was cast, and Louis, there was some talk and, you know, various different opinions. Should we cast a whole new cast outside of Mercedes so it doesn't look like the Broadway play? Because you want to get away from the idea of the play and make it something new. Should you cast all movie names, you know, so that it you know, has some, you know, appearance of being a movie? You know, then you also have an additional challenge, which is you want this to look something like a family, you know? Yeah. People should look something like they're related. And after a lot of discussion and various, attempts and questions in different areas between Neil, who had been down the road of making, trying to cast this, you know, they had already, in the Broadway show, tried to replace Irene and replaced Louis, so he knew some of the pitfalls. And between everything, it ended up being Irene and Richard Dreyfuss. So one old element and one new element.
Can you tell us some of the people who are on that list? I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but for us it's real interesting to understand some of the people who you were considering for the role of the grandmother.
Well, actually makes me kind of uncomfortable. I've never done that, and I feel that it's not, I don't think that's really very fair to everybody involved.
Sure it is.
I don't think so. I don't, because the fact is that, you know, and I actually do, improvisational classes on casting. And that's just, you know, casting in person. But there's so many political elements involved in casting, and it's so difficult that I think it's not, I really think it's not fair.
Well, you know, people, I mean, for us, remember, this is a class of non-professionals you're talking to.
Yeah.
We're
I do a whole day on casting.
On casting,
so
okay.
It's crazy.
But from our point of view, we would say, well, it would be interesting to us if, for example, on your short list, you know, had like Madonna or somebody like that.
Oh, no,
like
no.
She wasn't on the list.
No.
No. Okay. But
no,
the reason...
No bad actors and no totally inappropriate... no.
I'll tell you, for a very diplomatic person, you certainly are very candid about certain other things.
No, very inappropriate. I think Madonna would be inappropriate for Grandma Kernitz. I think we could all agree on that.
Yeah. But she would have been magical as Louis. Okay. But it's just, the reason I ask is to understand the plastic nature of what you do. That someone who looks like she is sort of, that it had to be her because you saw her on the stage.
Well, I think finally in the end, Neil came to grips with the fact that really there was really no one who he had loved what Irene did so much on the stage that he just really couldn't see anybody else as Grandma Kernitz.
They're strong kids, Ma, both of them.
Jacob, eh?
Yes, but they call me Jay.
No, don't like Jay. Jacob is a name.
Sure. Jacob is fine.
And Arthur?
Arthur. But they call me Artie.
I don't call you Artie.
Sure, I love Arthur. It's like King Arthur.
You go to school?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes. I go to the same school as Jacob.
EasyScript can help you learn to take notes fast in a matter of hours. In fact, it's so easy you probably already know how to read it. I learned EasyScript in a matter of hours. EasyScript taught me to write 40 words per minute. Simple, isn't it? You'll learn how to abbreviate any word, and you'll be able to read your notes when you're finished. Now, it's perfect for students, lawyers, salespeople, secretaries, managers, anyone interested in writing faster. If you take notes, EasyScript should be part of your personal development.
EasyScript includes 2 audio cassettes, a workbook, and a quick reference card for everyday use. This patented self-study product is not available in stores. Order your EasyScript today. There's no risk with our 30-day money-back guarantee. And for a limited time, we'll discount 20% off the regular price. That's $79.95 for this complete note-taking system. Call 1-800-777-MIND today and order your EasyScript now. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and the Discover card.
Computers are plugging into every aspect of our lives, and sometimes it's hard to make the connection. But now you can rely on one major source to help you link your computer to your lifestyle. Jones Computer Network drops new technology in your lap with information, instruction, and innovation that make new technology easier to understand and use. When it comes to technology, it pays to be well connected. Tune in to Jones Computer Network, the network for the information age.
Was this a good shoot for you? Did this go smoothly for you?
It's odd, you know. One nice thing about movies, I've always said directors have to have a crisis personality, and you never know what's going to go wrong. In this particular case, we anticipated a lot of the things that had gone wrong in the past in movies that I've done, but what do you know, we had horrible weather. Who would think that on Lost in Yonkers, a character movie, you would be ruined by the weather, but the weather was horrible, and it was horrible for every movie that shot last summer. Not in the East Coast, so anything, you know, kind of east of the Mississippi. It rained every single day, and it didn't stay raining all day. It would like be sunny in the morning, then the rain clouds would come in, then it would pour rain, then it would clear up, but the clouds wouldn't go away, or they would go away. So you were setting up for one scene, shooting part of it, ripping that down, setting up for something else. Then the sun would come out again, you'd rip that down, you'd set up for something else, and you lose hours and hours and hours of shooting time.
Also, a little footnote, if I may, on this. When you're shooting exterior, now this is not back lot, and this is not studio. When you're shooting, the way you do it, pretty much, and I know you'll correct me if I get this wrong, but pretty much is, you do your exterior first. You do your exteriors first, and for each exterior day, you have what's called a cover shoot, which is a shoot you can do inside. So you set up your shoot, we're going to go out to that intersection shoot, and if it rains, then we'll go in and do the interior stuff, because we'll do that. But what it sounds like what happened was you used up all of your cover shoots. Each day it would rain, you do it, and you'd see it's getting to the end, and you don't have any clear days. The other thing is very important that Martha said, which is that it's not one kind of weather. It rains, it rains. You might even do a shot in the rain, but if you do a shot in the rain, then you're committed to rain, which means when you come in to do your coverage and your close-ups and all the rest of it, you have to exactly replicate that rain, or the skies have to open up. It's very scary if you're a director, because every day is thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Well, in this case, because you're dealing with long days in the movie, for example, father and sons arrive, okay? You have the scene in the car traveling down the road, you know, then they pull up to the gas station. Then they come through town. Then they get to the back porch, they have the talk, they go into the store, which I built intentionally with great big windows so you can see exactly what's going on outside. I wanted to be able to see the world out those windows. Then they go upstairs, there's Grandma. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. Then they go out to then Bella arrives. Then they go out in the front, then they come in, then they go out to the back. They have a scene out back, then they go back in, then they make the ice cream sodas. And all of this is seeing out the windows. Now, then they go upstairs and we see them walk up the back step. This is days and days and days and days of shooting. We had to have it sunny. Remember, they're hot. It's sweating. It has to be sunny. We need 2 weeks of solid sun just to shoot those scenes. And we never got 2 weeks of solid sun. So that we started out with 3 pre-production shoot days when we were going to get the kids in the car. And it started raining then, it rained us out, and we got the last couple of shots from that sequence on the last day of shooting that we were there in Cincinnati.
Tell me the toughest scene. What was the hardest scene that you shot in this movie?
I think that the hardest 2 scenes in the movie for me, the most difficult, were the 2 scenes that are so classic in the play that I couldn't really change them a lot.
Yeah, you couldn't fiddle with them.
I really couldn't. They're such set pieces. They are so, they're just classic that I felt I had to find a movie way of doing them.
Yeah.
And that was the scene when the 2 boys talk to Grandma, which is not particularly a theater scene, but it is static, which makes it not very filmic. It's 12 pages of the 2 boys standing in front of Grandma with a lot of questioning and speeches, and you know.
I think this is the smart one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this
and
is
that,
the smart, yeah.
you know, that's very, very static, and a huge monologue by Grandma that you don't see in movies very often. And the other scene is called the after dinner scene, which is where Bella's set all the chairs up and she wants everybody to come and sit down, and and that
you
scene,
backed me up on this.
Yeah,
right?
you backed me up on it.
Yeah.
14 pages or so, I just, maybe more. It was 5 days of shooting, and the 2 scenes I approached very differently. The first scene I shot I decided one way to make the scene interesting was to, of course, do different sizes. In other words, I can't move the camera and I can't move the actors. I moved the camera a little, but you know, people sitting still, it starts to become very difficult to motivate moving a camera except on a very big emotional moment. So I moved it a little bit, was to change the angles and the sizes. And so that meant shooting endless long shots, meaning lengthy, the whole scene, of different sizes, which of course drove the studio completely out of their minds watching the dailies.
Which one is the smart one?
Yakovich. He gets A's in everything.
So tell me now, why do you want to live with Grandma?
Why don't you tell Grandma, Jakob?
Well, because when Pop said we had the opportunity to live here with you, our only living grandmother, and our only living Aunt Bella, well, I thought the family should sort of stick together. Now that our country's at war with Japan, and that, oh, I also think that, no, that's all.
And this is the smart one?
I thought you said that very well, Mama.
What about this King Arthur? Why do you want Lou's grandma?
Because we have no place else to go.
Artie.
No, he knows what he wants to say. I think maybe this is the smart one.
This other scene was the after dinner scene, and that one was a different problem. That one was a problem of keeping it moving and interesting, and it has so much energy in it. Where do you start? You can't shoot the whole scene in one long master. It would be boring. You'd be looking at the same camera angle for, 15 minutes. So then what I did is, it was just like, how do I do this? So I just looked at the scene and sort of took emotional beats in the scene and broke the scene down into 4 or 5 masters, and then I shot one day and one section the next day and one section the third day, and that was the only way it seemed practical, because believe me, in movies you do not have scenes this long. You have scenes, maybe they shoot for 2 days, but you don't shoot. They just don't have scenes that last this long and are this complicated, and the more characters in the scene, the more shots you have to do. So when you have 6 characters in a scene like this, it means a lot of shots.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why you do have it here, if I may suggest it, is that this is a play.
It's a play.
It was written with speeches. It's written with monologues. And what Martha is saying to us is, you don't want to kill that. You want to make a movie, but that's part of the beauty of the work. It's not about getting rid of those long scenes, because it's making them work in the context of the medium.
The after-dinner scene is really kind of a theater classic, and so it was really a way of exploring it and finding out how to make it work in a movie situation.
It will be much better if you were sitting. I pictured everybody sitting.
I don't want to sit. Change the picture. Picture everybody else sitting and me standing.
Louis, can't you just sit for a few minutes? Still, Bella tells us
what it is she wants to talk to us about. Okay, here. All right? Is this how you pictured it, Bella?
No, I pictured you sitting on the chair that I picked out.
Bella, it's very important that I leave here very soon. Very important. Now, I don't want to get you upset, sweetheart, but I don't want to spend my time getting the seating arrangements right. Now, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to go.
I pictured everybody sitting.
Jesus!
Stop arguing with her and sit down, for God's sakes, before she gets in one of the moods again.
Louis, quiet. Gertrude, stop it. Louis, quiet. Louis, stay. Louis, eat. You don't scare me anymore, Ma. Maybe everybody else here, but not me. You understand?
Louis, sit.
I tried to go back to school so many times.
But there are things that get in the way, like getting married, having children.
My career, I was a single parent.
I became very discouraged.
I would never be able to go back to a traditional campus.
9 to 5, 8 o'clock in the morning till noon. There's no way I could have done that.
I take my classes at home.
I could watch the video when it was convenient for me.
It was really wonderful to sit and do homework together with my 10-year-old daughter.
The instructors are taken directly from their area of expertise.
That have current, up-to-date, leading-edge information.
It's not just diagramming sentences and, gee, may I ever use that? I don't know.
I became excited about the possibility that I can finish my degree.
I was really proud at my graduation day to go through commencements.
When you're all done, you have something to show for it.
I'm extremely proud of my son.
I put my 4 daughters through school, and now it's my turn to walk down the aisle.
I enjoy a good challenge, and I think that distance education and the classes that are involved in it give a person a real good challenge. And it allows us to see what college is going to be like, and it teaches us ahead of time that college is not going to be easy, and that we have to depend on ourselves and we can't depend on others. The great thing about this is it's taken our small school of 175 students and transformed us into a small part of a classroom of over 6,000 students. And it has taken just individual classes and taken them from a self-centered small school classroom and taken it to a national level where we have students and classmates that are all across the United States. My parents are very encouraging for this type of learning system. They understand that this is a very small school, and I really love the challenge that this kind of education gives me and the fun things that happen in everyday class. And it really is the greatest education I think a person can get.
Did you decide on Dreyfuss for this thing, to play Louis?
Yes.
Was that your decision?
No, it's all those decisions are group decisions.
Group decisions.
Group decisions.
So we're talking about you, Neil Simon, Ray Stark,
and the studio.
And the studio. See, because a lot of people, when they're hearing you're talking about dailies and how panicked they get when they see the dailies, this is something we've never talked about in class, Martha, that someone is looking over your shoulder. That it's not just you, the director, who's looking at dailies.
Sometimes they stand over your shoulder.
Literally over the shoulder. Yeah. I thought he was wonderful in this.
He was great. And
Louis, he was so good in this. In fact, he was so good that I told him he could come tonight. We give a warm welcome to Richard Dreyfuss. You're looking great. You're absolutely terrific.
Thank you.
And you were, how was she to work with? Was she tough? Was she a real tough cook?
Well, first, she never talked so much as she did this night.
That's right.
She would say, roll them and cut.
But that, from your point of view, is pretty much the ideal situation,
That's exactly
isn't
right.
it? Yeah,
Exactly.
I think you were happy about that. On this particular film, how did you get this part? How did this come to you? Who proposed this to you?
It must have been Ray who called you, right?
I don't really remember whether it was Ray or Neil or you. I don't remember now.
Had you seen...
I didn't call you.
Had you...
Richard, I didn't know you.
That's right. I wasn't on your list.
No, you were, but I
heard the
didn't know
list.
you.
I don't remember whether it was Ray or Neil.
Had you seen the play?
No.
When you first read it, did you immediately say, this is good, I could do this, I like this? Was
Yes.
it that immediate feeling?
I didn't say I could do this. I said I wanted to do this.
Why? What was there in that character?
Because there's a bravura. And I speak for a living, isn't it? There was a grandness to his character. He was a guy who thought of himself as a big deal, and he's actually third gangster, you know?
Yeah.
He's the guy who opens the door for Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
And,
he's a hunchback.
And I thought he was funny.
Yeah.
I thought that whole thing was funny, especially how he loved his nephews and how he was his mother's son, and most especially how he loved his sister.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of the most delicate notes in the movie. I mean, I think you play that beautifully. How long did you work on the film? How much work was involved?
Well, I think I only did 3 weeks on the film. 3 or 4?
I think it was actually 5.
It was 5.
Actually, it was probably 4 weeks worth of work in 5 weeks. I bet that's what it was. No, I don't mean worth. I mean, they don't understand. You don't work every day necessarily. So in other words, if he did 4 weeks, because I remember...
Martha, we understand.
Oh, you do? Okay. He was giving me a look.
Yeah, I know. I've had that for a couple of years.
I know.
All right. When you started this, were there any surprises for you on this thing? I mean, was there anything that you weren't expecting?
Well, there was a day at the beginning of rehearsal when Martha and Neil took me aside and said that they wanted my performance to be bigger. And I said... and I was slightly taken aback, but they both said that they wanted this character to be larger than I had intended. I had thought of him in I guess, I don't know what word to use, but slightly more realistic or something.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we want him to be bigger than life. And so I said, okay, but I'm working here without a net because I don't have that reference point, so you have to help me. And so we did. We just changed it. We jacked it up.
Why did you want the character, Lorge? I mean, what you're wanting there is something that's going to have perhaps a more comic value, but you want to stay away from caricature, right? I assume you want to make sure that this doesn't, that Louis doesn't become a buffoon in the show.
I don't remember this conversation. No, I remember.
5 weeks.
I remember. I remember 2 conversations. I thought you were going to. I remember that conversation during the after dinner scene. I remember specifically that. But I also remember in rehearsals about the accent. That's what I thought you were going to say, which has to do with the character and the performance. And Richard had been studiously studying the New York accent. And he, I'm sure, felt like he was overdoing it. And you could tell he was like, this is too much, right? It's too much. And Neil kept shaking his head. He kept saying, it's coffee. And
the word is coffee.
The problem is it's very difficult to do that accent and feel like, I'm dealing with another movie now where everybody's trying to do it, and feel like you feel like it's too much and we could barely hear it. So that's how I remember this. But what's important about Uncle Louis is that he comes in, he takes over the room, he is bigger than life, he sees himself as Edward G. Robinson even though he only opens the door, and he is so, has so much bravura that the boys latch onto him like he's their savior.
What is it? This? Don't worry about it. Just holding it for a friend. This cop I know, he's on a camping trip with his kids. He don't want no accidents.
Is it loaded?
Gee, I hope not. If it goes off now, I have to become a ballerina.
No, I never knew a policeman could lend his gun to someone.
You got a real smart brother there. Did you know that, Artie? You're right, Jay. It's my gun. I'm a bodyguard for a very important, very prominent political figure. Kind of like being an FBI man. Only they call it something else.
You mean a henchman?
Who's been telling you stories like that, Jay?
No, I swear.
Don't you ever repeat that word around to anyone again. You understand me?
I didn't mean to say it. I was thinking of Hunchback.
Hey, we got a couple of jokers here. Don't try to pull my leg, Artie. It might come off in your hands.
I'm mad, I'm angry. I'm coming uncorked, I'm coming unglued. My wife and I had a big argument as soon as I got home yesterday.
Job hunting simply isn't fun or easy. It's hard work, and simple mistakes can keep you from finding the best opportunity. Getting Fired, Getting Hired is a video series that can help you discover how to use your job hunt to expand your career. You'll learn to get focused, overcome self-doubt, stay on track, and keep yourself motivated.
He helps them with interview techniques, with putting the resumes together, with networking, which I think is the real key to the job search success.
You'll hear expert advice from 3 top human resource executives, and watch Craig Lincoln as he navigates a difficult job search.
What I want to talk to you about now is the concept of a career blueprint. When we go out into the field to build a house, we don't just send the contractors out there and say, start pouring cement and start building walls. Specific requirements. And that's what we're going to do with your career, is create a blueprint of what's a good fit for you.
6 half-hour tapes lead you through each step to developing a successful job hunt. Now, the series was produced by William Frank, a high-level career and outplacement consultant to more than 100 corporations.
The tapes are just excellent. I really do believe in them, and I think that it can be a valuable, valuable tool.
Order your Getting Fired, Getting Hired package today at the special price of $239.95, a savings of $70. This limited time offer includes 6 half-hour videotapes and 3 books, 200 letters for job hunters, the Job Search Time Manager, and the Resume Repair Kit. Or for only $199.95, you can order the tape set, normally priced at $249.95. To take advantage of these special offers, call 1-800-777-MIND. We accept Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and the Discover card.
There's a way that people all across the nation are furthering their education, finishing their degrees, and broadening their minds. It's called Mind Extension University, and it brings you real college classes from real colleges right through your cable TV. It even lets you register for classes, order books, and get tapes of lectures. So you can get education, sweet education, without ever leaving home sweet home. Call Mind Extension University at 1-800-777-MIND.
It takes so little to save our waters for future generations. Using less toxic household cleaners and fewer lawn care chemicals protects so much. Helps stop water pollution forever. Clean water. If we all do a little, we can do a lot.
You are watching Mind Extension University, the Education Network.
Do you think it was Neil who suggested that you for this part? Do you think it was Neil Simon, considering that your experience with him with Goodbye Girl was terrific for him and terrific for you?
I really can't say. It's logical to assume that, or Ray.
Actually, no. Actually, everybody, everybody thought about it, and everybody suggested Richard.
Boy, how nice for your career.
But it's true, because when you think about it, you try to cast that part. Figure out who can play this part. It's not an easy part.
Yeah, well, you had thought of Madonna for this one, right? Didn't you
right. You thought of Madonna for this one.
That's right. Are you at this point now sort of making a conscious effort, Richard, to do a certain amount of theater, go back and do some film, to kind of literally change, just to move between one medium and the other?
No.
Not at all. Are you staying with movies, or are you just waiting to see what comes?
I've always done the same thing. I've waited to see what happens, and something comes along, and I've never really, made a series of decisions like that. Circumstances were that I did a play last year. Circumstances could be that I do a play next year. But I don't design it like that.
When a script comes to you, and you get a lot of scripts, you're in that charmed circle of bankable actors who have a track record, people like to work with you, you're good box office, you just got a very good professional feeling in this business. The reputation is good. That means you're going to get a lot of scripts, and you do get a lot of scripts. What is it in the script that you look for that's going to end up generating a yes from you? What is it that you're going to say, yeah, I think I'll do that?
Well, it's going to change from project to project. And it really depends on what else is going on. For instance, if I've done a comedy, I'll want to do a drama. If I've done a drama, I'll want to do a comedy. If I've played a character who is of a certain nature, I'll want to play someone different than that.
Yeah.
That's basically all I do. It's not more mysterious than that.
Did I read in the Times you had a meeting with the president last week or thereabouts? Did I read that? I mean,
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, that's just a change of pace for you, because I think I've known pretty much what you've done over the last 20 years, and I'm reading the Times in Los Angeles. It said Bill Clinton took a meeting.
Isn't it?
Hi. How are you?
Bill Clinton took a meeting with Richard Dreyfuss. I said, oh, well, that's the sort of thing you don't see in the Times every day. But tell us what that's about.
Well, actually, he needed some advice on Bosnia. Happen to have his next State of the Union speech right here. I campaigned for him. So because I campaigned for him, I was shooting in Vancouver. There were a bunch of people who had campaigned for him. And he was coming to Vancouver for the Yeltsin conference. And when he found out that X, Y, and Z were there, he said, well, if everyone can get together, let's all have a hello. And that's really what it was. I mean, there were a lot of logistics involved, because he's the president, but that's really what it was. It was a hello, how are you, what's been going on?
Was it fun?
Oh, it was great. I mean, you don't get to talk to the President of the United States every day, you know what I'm talking about? And he's an extraordinarily personable guy, and in person, he's quite extraordinary. And he knows everything. You could put a gun to his head in the middle of the night and say, Bosnia, and he'll go, boom, 7 options, boom, he'll know everything.
Yeah.
And so it was quite interesting. And he talks very candidly and very personally about his life and the situation he's in. He tells us anything, you know, that we want to know. There was no sense that he was hiding anything from us.
But do you, I mean, an interest in politics, an interest in government, certainly an interest in history has been a passion with you for as long as I've known you. Do you have a funny look on your face, or is that?
I just feel funny. This is a funny night for me. I don't know why, I just feel funny.
It is a funny night.
You ever have a funny night? I'm having one right now, pal. Okay, sorry.
But you're a funny guy, so you can carry off a funny night. Did that meeting with Clinton and the stuff that you've done over really a period of months, maybe a year in terms of the campaign, did that in any way sort of focus your own thoughts about maybe the next chapter where you're going in your life, maybe getting more actively involved in politics, getting involved in government? There are some people who find you quite charismatic. Oh yes, I'm telling you the truth, Richard.
Well, no, not in any more formal sense than I am now as a citizen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to run for the Senate or anything.
Yeah.
Unless I get drafted. But certainly it's very heady to, you know, hang out with the president and like that, but it's really, no, it has not changed. It hasn't changed me. I'm still the same simple, decent, sweet soul I was. That's not true.
What do you, at the risk of taking us a little bit far afield from Lost in Yonkers, but we'll get back to it, what do you think of the state of this country right now? What do you think of where we are in this country right now?
See, I think I'm not the only one having a funny night. Ask me a year from now.
Okay.
Seriously, ask me a year from now. It's far too soon.
Seriously, I will ask you a year from now.
It's important to society that we have a computer network because it's important to society that each of its members, or as many members as possible, be computer literate. And for us to reach in and get that information that we need for the purpose that we need it at the time that we need it, we simply must be able to use the tools that can manipulate and sort out that information and reach in and get what you want when you need it. Education is sort of the magic loom through which all this information is processed. It is the thing that creates a sense of self-dignity and self-worth and creates the value system, indeed creates civilization itself. But the computer extends the human mind. So it's important for people to understand how to use this incredible tool, especially if you can use it over high-speed, high-capacity delivery systems like cable television. The computer and the technology surrounding it are really empowering technologies of freedom, of independence, of being able to become the best, the most that you can be, of augmenting yourself, of extending yourself, of extending your mind. Without the computer, without being at ease with the computer, without dealing with digital equipment in our environment, in our electronic surround, it would be very difficult to function productively going forward. There are 40 million PCs in the country today, in homes across America. It's very much a part of the school environment. It's very much a part of the business environment, for instance. I run several companies here, and I know that it's very important for my associates to be computer literate. It's more productive. We can do more things. It's quicker. It's any way you want to look at it, it's much better.
Do you have any questions for Richard or for Martha? Yeah. Kip?
One for Richard. I was curious, is it harder when you're playing a funny scene not to play it for the laughs, or when you're playing a dramatic scene not to play it for the drama and just play it straight? Which is harder? And for Martha, you're looking at something, so I didn't see that when we were filming it now, and that changes what you're going to do
Well, that's a pretty good question. In the sense that there's probably almost no answer to that.
Which is always the hallmark of a good question.
Basically, if you're watching, there's not really, there's the surprise, frankly, the surprise comes. I'll tell you when the surprise comes. Not when you're looking at the dailies so much, because, not to say you couldn't be surprised, I'm not saying that, but basically when you start putting the movie together, then you'll look at a scene and you'll see that your favorite take, the brilliant take of the brilliant actor, somehow doesn't quite work in the scene. And then you have to go and look at other takes, and then you realize, my God, when the actor did that, which I didn't like in dailies, or I didn't notice, that's another way, now I see how much this means, and then you put that take into the scene, and suddenly the scene works, whereas it didn't before. That happens a lot, all the time, in fact.
Is this a learning experience for you, Dreyfuss? You really look stunned and delighted by this.
No, I knew.
Yeah.
I know a lot.
You know, for a funny night, you're doing very good tonight, I gotta tell you. All right.
Take my word for it, pal.
Okay, and the other question was about, I think you're talking about if you're playing a comedy scene, but you can't play it for the laugh. You have to play it for the truth or the reality of it and then get the laugh in that.
Well, the way I took the question is, my answer to the question is, comedy has technical difficulties. Comedy is almost at times geometric, and you got to work out rhythms and timings. But it's loads of fun. And once you get the timing down, or whatever your math problems are, then it's just fun. When you're playing a dramatic scene, especially a very dramatic scene, the fun is different. It's something, it's a surrender. It's a kind of opening yourself up, surrender. It is not technical at all. I mean, you have to have some part of your brain, like when you drive a car, you've got to have some part of your brain knowing you got to stand here and sit here and use that angle and get into the light. But there is a kind of emotional surrender in drama, which is, the word is not fun, but it's definitively pleasurable. And although you don't want to do the scene a lot, because you'll dry up and wither away like an old raisin, you want to do it. You want to do it again and again. That's why when I answered Richard before, I said that when I do a drama, I want to do a comedy next, and then I want to do a drama, because both have such truly visceral pleasures, and they're completely different. In a drama, for instance, you do not have the immediate knowledge of your effect as you do in a comedy. You hear the laughter. In a drama, you have to wait it out till the end of the piece or the end of the evening, and then you know. But there is something submissive and pleasurable about it.
I want to thank you for coming tonight. This is like 20 years almost you've been doing this for us, which I'm very grateful to you for. Your work gets better and better, and you were wonderful tonight. You were terrific. When Martha Coolidge was my student at NYU when both of us were children, longer ago than we care to remember, but I'm very pleased for you, and I'm very proud of you. It's a wonderful film, and I hope it's a smash for you. Thank you so much. Martha Coolidge.